Okay, so today's video is going to be on Polygon, otherwise known as Matic. So we actually believe, the team thinks that this is going to be one of the best coins to own going into 2022. Just quickly here, we're on CoinMarketCap. For anybody who doesn't know about this site, it's actually an amazing site for just general research. Get caps, the volume for the day, gives you a little chart there. But we usually use CoinMarketCap just to find new cryptos or to research existing cryptos that we're looking into. Has a lot of articles. You can come here, you scroll down a little bit. You can come here and do your own research. We're just going to go over really quickly what Polygon is for anybody who doesn't know. It's an easy to use platform for Ethereum scaling and infrastructure development. Now, it is very important because it does help Ethereum scale, and everybody knows that Ethereum is one of the biggest cryptos and is going to be one of the biggest cryptos in the future. Now, I think what we want to focus on today is more the technical analysis on the chart and showing you guys why we like Matic heading into 2022. So here you can see we have a 1 hour chart, and we actually have our upward wedge here. Now, we created this just to show everybody watching that if you were to look at this wedge starting on I believe it was the 15th. Yes, so it started on the 15th. You can see that we hadn't created a wedge until Matic moved up above the 200-day EMA on a 1 hour chart. Once Matic broke above the 200-day EMA, it actually used the 200-day EMA as support. And if you had watched our video from yesterday, we went over how we use the EMAs. But if you want to learn more about that, just go check out a previous video. But back to this. So here we have Matic breaks above the 200-day EMA, and it actually finds it as support around the 20th. Now, the team actually liked this. We were waiting to see if it could hit support. Now, once it hit support on the 200-day EMA, we actually started our position on December 20th. We were able to see Matic run up to new all-time highs, although we didn't sell any of the position because we do believe in Matic for a longer period of time. We were happy to see that it was able to break all-time highs when it had off the 200-day EMA. Now, in this wedge, I want to point out that you can see at the bottom of the wedge, it's tested 3 times on the 15th, on the 20th, similar to when we started our position, and just recently on the 29th of December. Now, this is important because Matic, because it's a volatile coin, it's constantly trading up and down. Now, it is important to notice that every time Matic trades up and down, it's actually trading within this region. And every time it's in a downtrend, it's actually finding a higher low. Now, what we mean by that is every time Matic comes down to test the support of the wedge, it's at a higher price point than the previous time that it actually tested the support area of the wedge. Now, you can see that as the wedge is ascending, and you can see the wedge is acting as support. For every time Matic is in a downtrend, it uses it as support. Now, this is a good sign. If we're looking at what's happening today, although Matic is trading below the 200-day EMA, it's actually found support, as I just mentioned, on the wedge, but it's also found an area of support between 240 and 250. Now, why this is important, because it's trading sideways. Now, what we mean by this is it's finding consolidation. Now, this can go either 2 ways. If Matic breaks above the 200-day EMA and it finds it as support, there's no doubt that this goes well past all-time high. So as you can see, on the 20th when we started our position, there was actually a very quick 30% increase in Matic within 3 days, which is, that's extremely volatile. Going up 30% in 3 days it's not difficult to do, but it's nice to see. It shows that the coin can move a lot in a short period of time, and that's what you want. With coins like this, you want volatility. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because although the coin has corrected and gone down a little bit, I want to point out that the ascending wedge is actually showing that every time Matic corrects and comes down, it's creating a higher low. Now, what the team means by this, if you can look at the wedge here, you're going to see that every time Matic corrects, it comes down, it touches the wedge 3 times. But every time it touches it and uses it as support, which is important, you can see that it's at a higher price point than the previous time that it corrected. Now, going off the 200-day EMA, it's consolidating along it. There's no doubt in our minds that this breaks above 200-day EMA within the next 2 weeks and uses it as support. Now, this is important because every time in the last month that Matic has ran, it's used the 200-day EMA as support. We think that if it breaks above the 200-day EMA again and consolidates and finds good support, there's no doubt that Matic was well above the all-time high. You know, we're seeing that it was testing 290 at one point in this week. It's at 251 with a correction. It can make, you know, this type of coin, if it gets enough volume behind it, it can easily go back to 290 and past. So another thing I want to point out in this wedge is how I know I previously talked about the higher lows when Matic corrects and it uses the wedge as support. But I also want to talk about how the wedge is used as resistance. So you can see on the top, Matic uses the top part of the wedge as resistance. Now, one thing I want to point out, every time Matic hits the top part of the wedge, it actually does come down and correct a little bit. But I want to point out that every time it comes down and corrects, it actually legs up again to reach a new higher high in terms of the resistance of the wedge. Now, what I mean by that is you can see here, when Matic is testing resistance, the price was 222 at the bottom of the wedge. Now, when it tests the resistance again halfway up the wedge, more up, it's a price of 273 USD. Now, once again, we can see it slightly touches resistance at the top at a price of 292. Once this breaks back above the 200-day EMA, holds it as support, we're thinking that it goes back up to test the resistance, but this time it's going to be at a higher high. It might be over $3 USD. And if it's able to break the resistance of the wedge, there's no telling how high this is going to go. Overall, and to conclude, the team believes that a price target of $5 USD by the end of year 2022 is definitely reasonable. We actually believe that Matic is going to be trading between the $5 and $7 USD range by the end of next year. So those are our price targets. And this will conclude today's video. And if you enjoyed and learned something, please subscribe as the channel is brand new and drop a like. That'll help out a lot. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.